Hi everyone and welcome to Dave's Bonsai. So today we're going to be doing some construction, as the introduction kind of showed you there real briefly. Part 2 of the bonsai tank pot, the bonsai pot tank, you know, whatever it's going to be. We're going to have some bonsai and some fish in there, and I'm super excited to keep bringing you some of these episodes. But if there's one thing that most people want to do when they watch a bonsai video, is they want to see something with bonsai. At least that's my assumption, that's my my thought process, and that's because every time we go to a Minnesota Bonsai Society meeting, we all love it when someone brings a tree. It's all about the trees, and so it's really nice to be able to see trees once in a while. So I don't want to put out a whole bunch of videos where it's just me making this really cool project. Well, cool for me. And so I thought I'd show you a couple of trees along the way as well. So today we're going to work on a couple of ficus trees. I have one of my Melon Seed Ficus trees that's doing well in this really nice old pot. And I also have this Green Island Ficus that's bushed up a little bit as well. So they had kind of their resting period in the plant room. And so now I'm going to go ahead and give them a nice, good prune. I'm going to cut it up pretty short here on this one, and a little bit of nip and tuck on this one, and then we'll let it grow for the rest of the season here, in the plant room season, if you will. But before we get to the trees, I will show you phase 2 of the bonsai pot tank. So the first thing I had to do was to get all the boards cut up. So out in the garage, I was able to measure twice, cut once, make sure I was getting my boards all situated to have basically a pot within a pot. And the reason why I did that is for some extra strength, and I'll talk about that here when I start to put it together. So once all the measurements were made and all the pieces were cut, it was time to head downstairs into the plant room where it's nice and cozy and start to put this pot together. So let's take a look at that. I have finished all the preliminary cuts of the wood to make my frame for this bonsai pot fish tank combination. So now I got to figure out the parts to my puzzle, and we're going to put this together and see where we're sitting. So if you're looking at the front, what I have created is a skeleton frame of the box. Make sure these are the same size. They are. And this will become the inside ring of the box. Now the reason I'm making it 2 layers thick is because when I make these boxes, they have a tendency to want to come apart easier. So we're going to have boards crisscrossing the top here, plus the connection point here. And then for the sides and the front, I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to glue these on so you don't see any nail holes. So this would be the front. So before I put the front on, I also have a spot for the middle so it won't sag. And then these will be the bottom of the pot, actually. And this will hold it all together in the middle of the pot. And then when I have my front on the front right here, we'll glue this piece on, and we'll glue this piece on the outside, and we'll glue this piece on. So there'll be no nail holes right here or screw holes. And then the last piece goes over here. And I have my big bonsai box. So what I intend on doing is I'll drill this piece, this back piece, I'll drill it into here with a drill that won't go, a drill bit that won't go all the way through. I'll drill at an angle so it makes sure it doesn't go through. And so these two will be connected with glue and with a couple of screws. Just two here, just to make sure there's a good strong connection. So that'll make it stronger. These on the middle section will make it stronger. And we'll be able to put all those together. And then I will drill some drain holes in here on the front part, drain holes here, and then down in here, this little section right here, what I might even be able to do, and what I'm thinking I'm going to do is these two that go all the way across, I will actually make them only go to the middle section, and I'll leave this open so I have more underneath side for the pump to be put inside there and can plug into the electrical source if you want to have running water. So these I probably will cut to just go to here, and I'll have this open all the way to the bottom. Okay? Or what I'll do is I'll make sure I have one piece right snug up there, and I'll leave, and I'll put one more here. We'll snug them up together and have that. And then I will have a little bit of a gap up in the front. There'll be just a little slight gap up in the front, and that's where my new glass, which I haven't taken the protection coat off yet, the glass will sit right there in between there, right there. And so it'll have a nice snug fit, and then we'll seal it up all the way around there, and this will be the glass view of the fish tank, and rocks will come out in here, and rocks will come out there. So that's the plan for right now. So we're going to go ahead and get the drill and the screws, and we're going to start putting this together. In step one, I was pre-drilling some holes so the screws wouldn't split the wood. So I did that on all pieces of wood that went onto the side, and then the middle piece just to be safe for the middle piece. And so everything is snug, we don't have any splitting, and the wood will last a lot longer that way. So we got all the pieces together, and then we're ready to do part two, where we're going to end up putting some glue, and we're going to put some screws, and we're going to get that all together. So phase one of the construction of the box is done. I have the outside border, where I have the left and right side flush to the front here with a little centerpiece in the middle. So the front will go like that, the back will be like that, raised in there, and I'll be able to put all these slats of wood in here so we can have protection and we can have strength. So next I'm going to put these onto these with some glue. So we'll get a bit of glue on here so it has a nice extra hold, and then we'll put some screws in there, and we want to make sure we have our shorter screws so they don't go through. So we'll go ahead and we'll get the shorter screws in there for a little test. The shorter screws will fit through, so we'll have no problem there. We'll get the wood glue and we'll get to work. The underneath side here is going to be the front eventually of the bonsai pot, and this will be the inside. To make this work, I need one of the side pieces, which we're going to use this one. We have to make sure that this is flush down here at the bottom and this flush next to each other here, and then we'll be able to put that first piece on. So we're going to slab some glue on the bottom there, we're going to put it in place, and then we'll have a couple of screws ready to go here so we can drill 2 or 3 in here and 2 or 3 in there. Everything is flush on this corner first with what will be the sideboard and the bottom part. I'm not happy with that, so we're going to move it over just a little bit more. Much better. With the first 2 pieces in, we have that side flush. So taking my first check to see if everything was okay, I noticed the other side has a little bit of an extension there. So we're gonna have to cut some of that off. So we're gonna measure this, and we're gonna cut the back one off, and that one we'll have to cut off with our circular saw as well. So we'll have to measure just a little bit, okay? But I can put the next side on right here, so we'll go ahead and do that. So now we have two sides strongly in, and there's no nail holes here, no nail holes here, and we'll sand this all up, and this will be the sides of the bonsai pot. Real big box. We got two more sides to put on. So there is the bonsai pot. Right now, about 3 pounds. Nothing too terrible yet. And then again, we're gonna put some slats in here. Ooh, they fit kind of snug, that's good. Just a little bit snug. And there's the first one. Second one. We have 6 of these to go across. And because these are so snug, you wouldn't even have to put them in if you didn't want to. And then our glass will go right here. And we'll cut this glass about 2 inches down, so we have about 4 inches up here. But what I'd like to do is now screw these first 4 boards in to keep this a nice snug fit. And then we'll be able to waterproof the sides of that. And this will be the glass part of the tank that we see in. It's a nice 1/4 inch, half-inch thick plexiglass, will not bend, not break. And that'll be the view going into the bonsai pot. And then in the back here, as I mentioned, I'm gonna cut these shorter so I can make sure I have enough room to fit the water pump that'll come up through the back side. We'll probably cut a hole back in here. We'll put the hose through here so it can come up to the top of the waterfall and spray some water on down. So we'll go ahead and we'll put just a couple of these on this side. And as a matter of fact, I think I have some extra of the 1x6. If this is 6 inches, we probably could get one in there. It'll fit nice and close. Yeah, 5 3/4. 5 and a little over a half. Yeah, so we'll put the 6 one in there, and it'll have less gap in there. So that'll be super nice. So we can save these for another project. So what I'll do is I'll put this in here. And then I can drill these in. So I'll go ahead and do that. So there we have the bottom of the front part of the pot. We'll make this solid back here or this solid over here, and then we'll have the pump coming up on one side or the other. We left enough of a slit to put our glass in there nice and snug. It's down there another 3/4 of an inch. So this can move up and out at will until we make it all together, and then we'll fill in the gaps right there. We'll put a couple of drill holes, drainage holes in here, so the bonsai portion of the bonsai pot and fish tank can drain down into the ground or into a boot tray or whatever I end up making for the bottom tray if it's inside in my plant room. We're going to stop right there. Nice to see some progress with whatever you're working on. So the bonsai pot tank is making some progress. The early part of the pot has been constructed there, and we got that front and sides all glued on there and screwed on, so super extra supportive. The glue and the screws that go from the inside to make sure there's no screws that we can see from the outside, but then that extra support and with the slats on the bottom, all of that to make sure that with all the weight and the not as much weather elements with this will be inside probably most of the time. I might get a little brave and put it outside once in a while for gatherings, or we'll see, but it's mostly going to be here inside for me to enjoy. But a lot of extra support because of all the weight that's going to be on there with water and the rocks and all that stuff. So can't wait to show you the next segment. But let's get to some trees here. We've got the ficus here in front of me. We have this little melon seed ficus we're going to tackle first, and then we'll do the Green Island Ficus. So I have gotten all of my melon seed ficus from the Minnesota Bonsai Society workshops, cuttings from the first few workshops, and they've continued to grow, and I've made more cuttings, and I have more ficus to work with. And so this little tree has gone from a really thin branch of about this long. If you look back at the series playlist for the ficus trees that I have, you'll see this one in a much smaller situation and with some of the pruning that we've done over time. So we have this thing that has this just a little bit of slight movement here from the bottom. We got the bottom starting to slowly flare out here, not a ton. And we have this broken off into a main branch here, but it's a real tall, it's growing upward for a taller tree. It splits here into kind of a Y up here, so this kind of breaks up that Y, I think, a little bit, which is nice. And then it's starting to, of course, split up in here. And what I first noticed about this tree when I've been looking at it lately down in the plant room is this branch right here is getting a little thick. See how these are thinner, and this little trunk should probably be a little bit thinner than these guys, although these could thicken up over time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just give this one a little bit of a nip and tuck today. We'll do a little bit more cutting on the Green Island. But we're going to go ahead and make this smaller because, again, it's been growing in the plant room after a little bit of dormancy. And so we are ready to take a peek at this. So the question with this tree is both sides could be the front, but I think that is the front right there. We have some brand new growth coming right there. This is some nice new growth. This one has split into two real nicely right here and here. Here we have one of those situations with this ficus tree and this melon seed where this leaf is growing and this is the branch above it, so we don't need that little leaf there, and that just might drain some of that energy. So I'm going to leave this branch completely alone right here. It's developing into two nice little branches off there, so we're getting some subdivision. And we're going to start with this branch right here. So as you're looking at the front, we do have this one right smack dab on our face. I want to make sure that is the front. I've been having a lot of trouble with that lately, is looking at my trees and deciding which one is the actual front. I like this look as well as that look. So there's one possible front. There's the other possible front. So let's not make any rash decisions here. I do know that regardless of what's going to be in the front, we have a lot of cluttering happening right in here. So this branch right in here, where this pokes through right there, you can see it better from this side. I like that branch from your view right now because it's kind of more behind. But there's some more growth in there, and then there's this little new growth right here. So if I cut this hard all the way back to there, there is some new growth. And that could become new leader material. But right now, we've got that little new growth here. We've got a nice sized medium branch here, then the thick branch here. If I cut it down to here, this could be the new leader of this branch. But is this getting too close to over here? See, these two are fighting over here, so I'm gonna have to cut this one a little bit. And I can actually cut this one that goes right towards the camera, because here's a new bud right here. Right there by the chopstick there. And then this branch right here is filling in that space nicely too. So we have a lot of little decisions to make. And I have to decide first what I'm going to think of as the front first. So here's my decision. I like this as the front because of how this junction looks right here. When you look at it from this side, it bulges a little bit more right here. There's a little bit of a bulge. I don't know if it's easier to see from the side, probably not from that camera angle. But there's a little bit of a bulge right there, whereas on this side, there's not as much of a bulge. It just has a nice division right there. So I like that division of the tree, so I am now going to treat that as my front. And that leaves that branch back there for some back branching, which gives it some depth, so I'm not so afraid of that. But if that is the front now, I have this branch growing right out in the front. I've got this one splitting out, and these two are kind of competing each other right here. These front two. So I got to take one of those out. And we're going to take this inside branch right here. Right there. We're going to take that one out. Right there. So that's not fighting. I'm going to take off this leaf that's kind of blocking our view there. So there, I took this out right here, so it's not competing with this center branch. Now I got a bud in the back here, a nice big branch in the back here, and I've got this whole thing that's crossing over and covering up this. So perhaps we cut that whole thing off right now. Do we cut this whole section off right here and make this one right here the new leader? I know for sure I'll cut it right here. Cut that off because this branch right here, you see this branch right here growing? So I have a nice little movement back towards the center of the tree a little bit. All right. And again, I still might cut this entire branch off. There's a dead branch in the back here. Cut this one off earlier. There's a little stub here. So this branch comes up right here and then it grows over here, and there's some nice division going on right there. But there's this new branch on the back side of it right here. Do you see the growth? See the growth right here? So if I kept this back little one as the main branch, it would be less in our face, but more in between the trees. What do? I do like this. This is going up and over, but it kind of mimics this branch, which again I might cut off completely. So we'll have to decide on that one. My question now is, do I keep this whole thick section here? Do I cut it off and make this the new leader? But it's coming out at the viewer a little bit too much maybe. But if I make it the new leader, maybe it'll stretch up to the sky if I cut behind it away. And either way, this branch right over here is competing with this whole structure over here. So I cut that off. And because I have a couple of branches growing this way, oh, do I want to cut that lower one off? You see this back, how big it is? I will cut it back to this new tip right here. So right now, now it's more compact. These are all clogging them up right there. So I think I'm gonna leave that center part alone in there, right there. I'm gonna leave that alone until I decide what to do with this branch now. So there's some branches out front here. This right here is kind of in my face, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this back right to here. Thin that out. Now it's not so abruptly in our face. And as you can see here, I have this one out front, which we may take off someday, but it's nice and growing. I've got one in the back right over here. One coming up straight up a little bit, which may go someday, and then these two here and here. So it's where it kind of splits from one into two kind of in this spot right here. But then thin this out real nicely right here. And again, if I were to wire this down or something, we'd have some separation. But now I've got the branch above it that's super thick. We have a whole bunch of growth behind this one, so I'm going to cut this thick one off right here. That's a big, thick portion of the tree. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little branches within this that I just cut off to thin this out. But I do know from experience with these Melon Seed Ficus, they do grow back. I could cut this whole thing and have no more foliage, and I would still get some growth. Oops, I didn't want to cut that one off, and I did. I wanted to cut the stump off, and I went too far, but that's okay. It makes more gap in here for a bird to fly right through there, huh? So with that in mind, let's cut this one off. because that's real close to this branch over here. So we've got a couple of branches right here and here that are fighting for some space. I'm going to cut. So right here, we've got two that split right here. They're both going up and then out. Let's cut the one that's going towards the center of the tree off in favor of this one right here. So now I have this main branch here, this main branch here, and this one right here. A little bit of separation in here between that. And then we'll go ahead and we'll cut that tip off. And you can see we have this right here competing with that. And upon closer inspection from the back, you can see we have 1, 2, 3 branches growing from the same spot. So I'm actually, do I cut one of the small ones off and leave? I like the movement of this one that has some hardened off trunk. So I'm going to go that way and cut it into 2, and I'm going to cut this one off. And I'm going to cut that stump off. I need a finer scissors for this. One more of the tip there. So now this one's kind of thick next to it now. It's a little thick. We're going to cut it back one more section. This goes a little bit too much towards us, so let's cut off the tip of that one. And cut off a little bit from the back. I am going to cut off the tip on this one. And that side looks pretty good. I think I'll just let that grow out and see what happens. There is the notion that I can cut this whole thing off right here. This is a little bit that thick part I was telling you about. Because this is going to grow thick up here now. But I'll have thick, thick, and thick. And this is already a thick branch. Maybe I cut this off right there. You know, is this section right here too long? All one thickness from down here up to here. This is a little bit thinner and this is a little bit thinner. Do I cut that off? And it does grow up this way and more straight up now, so it could take over for this particular leader, if this becomes the new leader out here. If I cut this whole thing off. I think we need to be bold. I think it's too thick up there above that layer of branch, so we're going to cut this one off. Just like that. Right? Clean this one up just a little bit. There we go. There. Now it might be too big of a kind of a Y slingshotty look here, but that one was thicker and this is thinner, so I'm going to see what develops on here. And if you look right now at this branch right here, if I cut this branch right here for this one alone, it'll come out to here and then up this way, and that's thin to thinnest, right? So we'll just leave that alone and see what happens. We'll cut this one off right here. So we have all of this nice air through here. This one does bother everybody, doesn't it? Does that bother everybody? It bothers me. It's long and leggy, and it's right in the front. We're just going to cut it off. We'll fix up that part of the trunk. And then because I have this little branch back there, I'm going to cut this one off right here. And again, I know these back bud really well, so I've got this little tiny branch growing right back here, which might allow me to cut this whole thing off one day, but I'm just going to leave this on for a little bit longer, I think, right here. Because this is going to grow up right here too, and it's going to fight with that, so we'll see what happens. And I think I'm just going to cut this right here to let this take off as the new branch. I'm going to cut off this big leaf right now. Back here, it's like I left too much on this one, right? Let's cut that off. Now we're down to 1, 2, 3. One's coming up here towards the back, one's growing out this way, and one's growing up that way. 3 different directions will give it some texture and thickness. If you look at this tree this way, it's a little narrow this way, so we want to see a little bit more of a you know, umbrella type shape. It's a little bit more oval than it is. Clean out this little spot right there. This one back here is just not doing anything for us. So this one back here now fights for this up here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this left side off. My right, your left. And then we'll put the scissors down. That's it. Melon Seed Ficus done. Yeah, not too bad. Cute little tree, and we'll let that grow for the rest of the season here in the plant room. It's time now to look at the Green Island Ficus, and this definitely is the front of this tree. It's kind of got that wraparound hug look right here with this branch being cut right there. So if we get a close-up of that cut right there, that's starting to heal up real nicely. So that's going to be completely gone in the next year or two, probably 2 years. Pushing it out maybe 3 tops. So this one has some really fun movement in the trunk here with from the main trunk to the 3. This one's kind of going out and then curves up, and then it kind of goes back to the right here. Some really funky curves. You can see where I made a pretty big chop last time right down here. Here's a big chop right there. There's a chop up here. There was a chop in here. Right there, that tree right there. That trunk, that branch I should say. So what to do with this one now? There's some good old back budding for you right here. Look at this back budding right here. I could cut this whole entire branch off and have this as the new branch. But it's growing in towards the center of the tree. There's another really nice little tiny bud right here. Right here. That's a little tiny bud right there. That's starting to push out new growth. So this Green Island Ficus is in good shape. I like all the different... I like this thickness of this tree. This one back here kind of comes out to like, it splits into 2 right here, and then to 2 right away, and to 2 back here, actually 3. So it's got some really nice thick trunks down below now, so it's all ready to make some nice ramification up here. And as this trunk thickens up, it'll just add so much to it. So I do want it to thicken up some more. But now what to cut off and how far to cut it off, that is the question. So as we're looking at the tree, this one has this really, look at that curvy movement here. This right here goes up, goes back in towards the tree, and then out. It kind of goes up like this and over. Just some really interesting movement on that branch. But then it has this one growing inside, and it kind of blocks the tree from us. But if I cut that one out, then again we see this kind of concave tree, and I don't know if that's going to look any more natural. I can cut out a stub here. So the question is maybe do I just cut off this tree off here, this branch right here, and leave this one to grow taller? Because it's got some nice movement there, and it takes off some of that look from the... I'll definitely cut it shorter for right now to this bottom branch. Right there, so I cut it to this bottom leaf right there. We'll cut this one shorter as well. I'm going to cut this tip off back here. And this is growing too inside to that tree, so I'm going to cut that little branch off. And then, so this one is big and thick too. I'll cut that off. So now these are smaller, right? Got a nice leaf down here that could grow out to a nice branch over here. And it keeps this little paddle, if you will, a little more compact. Now this branch started to grow out and then it grew back inwards, and so they're kind of crossing each other. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this one right here to cut the thick branch off. And now we have this that moves from this a little bit, and there's that little bud back behind. We'll see if we can use that someday in the future. But this now goes from thicker here to thinner right there. And again, if we cut off this one here so it hopefully grows to the other side, we'll see what that one does over time. So in the back here, if I just go ahead and shorten these to some outward facing leaves, maybe we'll get some movement over this direction. This one in the back comes, look at how low that one comes. It's a nice branch if it grows out more that way. It can provide some really good texture in the back. So we're going to shorten it up big time. We're going to cut off this straight up leaf. And then I think I'll just leave it there for the moment. I'm going to cut this big leaf off. There, I'm just going to leave that there for a little bit and see what this does. Because then from the back here, or from the front, this right here, this little branch is going to be 3-dimension up here. And if you look at the top of this tree, you'll have 3-dimension, or you'll have a nice circle all the way around. And that little wound there seems a little bit aggressive. I wonder if I could clean it up just a little bit. It's hard to get in there though. Make this wound a little less bulgy, and it'll start to heal over itself over some time here. I think that looks a little bit better. There, just cleaning that wound up a little bit. Yeah, it looks a lot better. And then we have, in the very back, these two split, but they block each other. They're right next to each other, parallel branches. So which of the two am I going to keep? I'm going to keep the one that goes out to the back. It's a little thinner. It's back further. I think it supports the overall design better. And I'm going to cut this one down and cut this. I'm just going to actually cut this off right there. There we go. I'll cut this one down to that one. There's some old leaf scars here and here. And I would rather not have it grow in here, I'd rather it grow out here, so I'm going to wait with that right now and work on some other parts of the tree. Let's cut this one a little shorter. And which one of these will we maybe keep later on? We'll find out. So this branch coming out the front here has one coming right out at you, and then one in the middle, that's the long thick one, and then one in the back here. So it's almost like 3 from one spot. We don't want it to be right at us, but I'm going to cut the middle one out for right now. And now we can see this branch going over here, and there's one down below here though, so I can even keep that one if I need to have more than one. So these all right here now, they'll compete with this back here. So what do I want to do? There's a branch that's super low. You can see it from the side here. Here's this new branch. This is all new growth right here. It's super young and bendable and green, but that's just creating havoc with the stuff that's in front of it here. So I'm going to cut that one off. And then this whole thing needs to be shorter. I'm going to cut the thick part off right there. This will be way shorter. There's a nice branch growing back there. This leaf is below that branch. We'll cut this leaf off and let the tip grow. This is growing towards us, so I'll just cut that off for now. There's a big leaf in here that just clouds it up. Gotta clean off some of these big leaves so you can just see what's going on with your tree. So we're really plucking away at this guy. Got some new growth, big buds swelling right here and here, so I'm just going to cut this off right here. This has got some new growth, it's trying right there and there, so I'm going to cut this one off right there just to make it more compact. We'll cut this one down to 2 leaves, 3 leaves. Let's promote the back leaf. You see this little growth under here is really kittywampus to this branch right here, so we'll just cut that off and clean that off. Got a little stump here we can clean off a little bit more. Better get my glasses on here and pull back a little bit, take a look. So everything's looking pretty good except for this side here, right? We have got some decisions to make on which one we're going to keep. And I think this long one has to go, favoring a smaller branch that will thicken up in time. And now it is coming towards the viewer, but for right now, I like the way it fills the space. I'll just cut it thinner and get the straight up branch out of there and there. That's a little bit better. But we still have this branch up here that's pretty thick. Cut that tip off right there. Cut that tip off right there. I think we have to cut it off right there. Let's just cut this back one off back here. And let's just go ahead and get rid of this one right here. We have some new growth in there with this branch right here. And this one's fighting against this nice new branch behind it. Let's cut it off. We got this right here behind it that can continue that branch now. It'll be from thick to thinner to thinnest right there. You can really see the design of this tree now, how I was talking about earlier, how all these branches are all kind of curling up here. There's 1, 2, 3 trunks over here. There's 1, 2, 3 thick kind of trunks over here, and just one solo one over here. But I like the movement. I have to be careful with this back here. This might create some bulging right here. So do I take one of those off, and which one would it be? It looks like I would take this one off because it's competing with this right here. These two cross right here. So let's cut it down lower and just see if we get some more branches that go out the back more. There is a bud right there, little tiny bud you cannot see on camera. There's a little tiny bud right there. So if I go ahead and get this down even shorter, and there's these two buds there I'll just leave alone at the moment. We cut a lot off this tree. It's bounced back for me every time, so we're hoping for the best. Some more stubs. Maybe we put the scissors down and let the plant room do its thing. There you have the Green Island Ficus. There we have a couple of trees now trimmed down. For the rest of the time in the plant room season, they'll be able to do their pushing out of growth. And the next summer, this one will probably just take off like crazy. We might have to prune it again in the June time period. And the Melon Seed Ficus might do something similar as well. So we'll just let them grow and thicken up and push out some new growth. And it'll be super, super exciting to see in the plant room as I come down here on a daily basis. Well, there you have it. Another show coming to an end. We got part 2 of the build of the pot tank. So that's pretty exciting. We'll have the next episode coming up right after the holidays here. It is just a day or two before Christmas as this one goes to print and wrapping up and go to air for you all to see. So happy holidays to everybody. I hope you're safe and with family and friends, and yeah, just stay safe everybody and have a really good holiday season. I'll probably take a break for a couple of days with some videos here, but being a teacher, I do have these couple of weeks off as vacation time, holiday break. So there's more videos to be made. More updates on the pot tank coming up real soon. And I got a couple of really cool projects that I'm starting, or that I'll be able to show you, I should say, at the start of the new year. So lots to come. In the meantime, hey, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you very soon.